So I want to talk about Wing Chun being able to use the Paai idea without the Paai hands. Now, the question is, what is Paai? You got to really understand this. This is going to be a shorter video. If you want a longer video for Paai, great. I'll point you out to some Gary Lamb video or whatever the case may be until I do something. But until then, I'm not going through all that, not tonight. So, Paai has to do with whether you use a single arm or a double arm, but usually both arms give you a certain structure where you can push somebody off. Okay? Paai or the butterfly hands, there was at one time an actual butterfly kung fu system that was around during this time period. Couldn't fight as well as other systems, but it was a great technique. It was one of the few kung fu systems that ends up merging into Shaolin, ends up merging into the Wing Chun hybrid, and we use it today. Now, that butterfly kung fu technique really wasn't the tone system. The tone setting origin was the 108 hands of Buddha or the 108 Lohan hands. You know, you'll hear about that technique, the fact that they had a secret police within Shaolin that learned this skill of hard qigong or whatever, and they go out and get the bad guy and they will they'll have the jail form and everything without the government having to interfere or do nothing like that. The government actually will praise Shaolin for doing that job. Okay, they were the first cop lives matter. Okay, if you want to think about it. Now, here, what I'm about to show you is that you'll have techniques where you have a single hand and a palm. When you do this, the tonsile, this tonsile and this palm, when you do the wooden dummy, is actually there because it's actually showing you the first Paai, which is the idea of this Sunum Dao tonsile coming out, but with the angle and this protruding out, the low Daiwan Jeung. Daiwan Jeung, Jeung, palm. That's one of the Paai hands. So you have Jeung, Gowon Jeung, Daiwan Jeung, Pao Jeung. You never heard me say this before, but I'm going to bring it out. Wu Jeung. The Toksao, Tok Jeung. You know, using it just to push on the arms and pull them out. All these different palms are part of that Paai Jeung set. I'm not naming everything. I'm telling you the main ones that you see the most, right? And you go on from there. Well, when you understand that, and it's all really about pushing, then this tonsile to my punch, what he's understanding is he can use this tonsile, let's take it from the dig under and pushing out, right? So I'm trying to get into his space. He pushes that tonsile out. My body goes back. It's a piercing, entering technique that breaks my structure. I'm gonna do it one more time. So I'm right here. He tries to push out. My body can go back. That's the idea. The number one person that used to do this, if anybody, was the legendary, not too long departed Chu Sheng Tian. He will tell you all about it. You ain't gonna understand him because he speaks in what, Cantonese, a country style Cantonese. So most of y'all ain't gonna understand it. But if you have the patience and just watch it, and really watch it for what it's worth, you will gather so much skill. This is not how he would really represent it, but I'm telling you, it's close. And there's some stuff I can tell you about Chu Sheng Tian later and what I picked up from it just by listening with my eyeballs and getting that information. So that tonsile is that first push. Now I realized what would happen I'll put you more over here. What would happen if you have Tai-yun Jeung here and all of that? He has a bend in his elbow here and he pushes it together. That's what happens. Go ahead and launch me into that mattress. That's exactly what it's there for. Right? Except for him coming back like that to do that, that's exactly it. Except for that point. But I'm glad you saw it so you can understand, okay, I'm not going to jerk back. Right? I'm going to keep what I got and just push off. Let it flow like water. Water's going to move forward. So, in that, and I want you to hear what I'm saying, that's a sow hand and a palm together. Now, if that's the case, then let's say you have Tai-yun Jeung, Go-on Jeung. This is one of the first palms. If you're more forward, this can happen, right? He pushes off, and he gets it. He can use his feet to penetrate more by pushing me off harder because his hips and all of his stuff is going to be into it, whatever. But you see the point, right? Jeung, Paai Jeung. And maybe there's an arm here or an arm here. He can't block or whatever. Right here, he does that, push. Or maybe my head is sideways. Does that make sense? That's Jung's. That's Paai Jeung. Now, here's where we get into the juicy information. This is top of our mattress. So I'm going to be adjusting it every now and again. So now we're going to get to the point of doing Paai Jeung without the Jungs. Okay? I want you to pay attention because basically he's already did it with the tan sao. So now we're going to look at some other pieces to this puzzle. So I'm here. You get over there. First off, you gotta know chi sao to understand this, or it's not gonna work. And you also gotta learn the wooden dummy. There's some things you got to know. Okay? I'm not gonna be kicking or punching to make this point. I'm not gonna use the Jungs to make this point. I'm gonna use structure, integrity of the sao hands and what they can do. I already actually had one earlier where there's a gansai right here and then I was pocking because I was coming from Wu and coming out as Pac, but I'm covering that shoulder so I can push him off. Now, it doesn't work too much because he's going to feel more this and less this if you're soft at it or whatever. What I mean by that is the opponent will have a strong arm. So if you have a strong arm, it's as if they're trying to fight back on me. Now, you feel both. Because both of them are doing the action of this. Does that make sense? So, when you do chi sao, let's say the person, matter of fact, he's going to do it towards me. That'd be better. He can learn more. Okay, because I'm not a bully. I want my students to kick my butt every now and again. So, if he uses this Fu can and makes it stronger and more like a jut, at the same time protrudes this tan sao that I hear. At the same time, if I have a harder structure and I'm putting some stress into it, if I have a harder structure of chi sao, he can push off with this. Right? Go ahead. Get what I'm saying? This is a representation. See my point? Paai Jeung. Jeung. Right? So I'm doing this. If he's right here, if about right here, if I have a strong technique, he can push off from there. If I can't clear the arms to attack his ribs, whether going up, like the wooden dummy says, up or down, if I can't get past that, do I really need to? Right? If I'm right here and I press, like if he's on the outside of me and he comes in and he hems, right? But if for some reason he can't do that, push, right? If I did this, do you get what I'm saying? I didn't have to touch him. All I gotta do is do my job. If I wanted to touch, then I could have always come here, get to this point, and then choose a side, right? And get to that point. Martial Moon people do that all the time. They'll get to the point where they'll just choose a side and get to a point. They can touch if they want to. But here what I'm telling you about is the idea of touching somebody. You got their arms, you're already touching Q. You already made that bridge, so that means you're touching. If you ever seen those old Army commercials, U.S. Army commercials, one side would have so many things to making a bridge for one side, the other one would make a bridge from the other side, so the Humvees and the tanks could go across the dang lake or ocean or wherever they're going. Not ocean. Sea, whatever. But the whole point is they can get across, right? So that's what a Q is. You've got two land masses crossing each other. So if you have this motion, you just knowing the point that wherever you're at, even with this bong style, all it is it's not even just pushing, but even that the bong style screws in for the penetration idea. And I have that. But at the same time, this food will be at this jump style energy to push off and then push off. It'll sink it and may harden, push off. So I'm at that point, and you won't even have to see it. You don't even see the technique happening. All you know is my body went back and it happened. Whole Paai Jeung without Jeung structures.
Bong Paai.
Wow, he said bone pie. So, what, now I know what your question is, how come that happened? If his body was turned this way just a slight bit, and I try to do that, it ain't gonna work. It really won't. If he has the right structure where his center line is not on that point, even if I have my technique wrong, let's say instead of this tonsure here, my elbow is out, right? My elbow's out, my bad, right? And I try to push, ain't gonna happen. Because my elbow, that's out of place. See what I'm getting at? So it depends on how my body's structured, depends on his body structure. If he has an elbow out of place, it ain't working, is it? So there has to be so much behind that. Okay? This is based on Wing Chun doing Chi style. This is not what you're gonna use on the street. You're not gonna, there's a way to deal with this on the street because you're always gonna have a reason, but you're not about to say, hey, make sure your elbow gets in there. Okay, I can push you off now. Yeah, I'm bad. That's not gonna happen. Now, it's just helping you to understand that if you're gonna push somebody off like this, you better know what you're doing, right? and you got to know what techniques to use. So one thing you could use, for example, I'm here, I come here, and I'll just go quan. And actually, you won't even quan at first. You just have this structure just in case something happens. If he can punch with this hand and cross, right, there goes the quan, right? If this arm happens to be strong enough, right, and then you wonder why in the wooden dummy sometimes you can see this and a kick, because if I have my structure here and this structure is pretty strong here, and I have this connection because I'm a weak person, and I push off, you got it. You know, that's one reason right there. That's from a front level. The other way is if I have this, I'm anchoring. There's reasons for this. Okay? If you have, and that's for, but you usually won't do this too. I want to make that a good point. You're doing this just in case something else happens. You're not gonna, if you're gonna push off, then you go ahead and push off and use it as an attack. What you're not doing is guarding one tiger, two dragons. That's not what I'm trying to emphasize here. So a lot of people will mistake that and say, well, he's doing the two dragons for one tiger version. That's wrong Wing Chun. If I'm using it as an attack, it's not so bad, right? If I understand that I'm doing this because maybe I can extend the bong sao and attack this other arm later, it's also not as bad. You have to, but your reasoning will make you sometimes look like a discreditable Wing Chun teacher, and other times can make you look like the greatest Wing Chun teacher. Kind of depends. You gotta be very careful about that. No, if you have, like for example, Jeung sao. Jeung sao goes across. It cuts across, right? The only thing connecting to that is like if you do karate, swooping block, going across the body like that. So this is the Jeung sao, right? He may punch with the other hand. I may go with an outside Jeung, right? I can use this as a jut and shoot. If it's a strong arm, and I know it can come back on me, because it can, because maybe I'm some small guy, then stepping, getting that, keeping it. What the whole point of this video is, know your sao hands. Know what they do. If you have that same technique, you ain't gonna keep this close because this is endangerment. Remember I was talking about in another video, keeping it out. Well, it's keeping it out and protruding to get that. Know where the center line is. If he's turned this way, it's from here and this leg. You know, same thing with the other side. Here, this leg, closer to elbow. You can control the whole attack from the elbow. You don't need a head hunt. Which, by the way, good thing to slip in just now. A lot of times this is done because you can't reach the head. Everybody will, even he did it. Everybody be like, well, you got big arms though. I can't have no reach though. Remember that? Okay. So, you know, with the dummy, and even in the very beginning, you have these techniques that deal with the arms because you may not can reach the head, right? For example, actually, you're gonna do it towards me. Okay. You're gonna do it towards me. I got this long arm reach, right? And let's say, let's do it like this. For some reason, this out like this. No. Okay, we're like this. Okay, now, he has it where my arm, his hand is already here. In the wooden dummy, what do? Yeah, that's right. Start right here. Start right here. So this is the hand motion. Well, if he had long arms enough, he could palm me right up against the head, and if I move, he could grab my neck and pull me in. See all that overreaching he just did? That is horrible.
Oh, my balance was so bad.
Now, it's not his fault, even though he could have stepped in. It's not his fault, okay? But what if you don't move in that situation? What can you do to improve that situation? So, right here, my hands are out like this. The closest thing to him is not my head. It's my elbow, attacking the closer target. He can actually reach for a paksao right here. And that would represent the Go Won John that would have reached the head. Because he can't reach me, my neck is as if I did move. Not that I did. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to make sure he has contact here because he don't want me to go anywhere. Now, with that neck and pull down, he's going to do the pull down from right here at my elbow. Does that make sense? What does he have now? Head. So, if his hand is out here, even if I just touch a little bit with a couple of fingers, I brought him in with my hand at his elbow. Now I got his head. I don't need to take him from the behind the neck. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
There's no need to. You can use the arms. Even if I have my hands here, and let's say the switch happens, punches with the other hand, right? That's inside right here. I got him in a nice trap to set him up here, right, if I want to. But the whole point is I use the elbow to be my friend to bring him, right? If I had this hand, bring. Even if I switch, bring. I can start locking. The whole point is I had to reach, right? The whole point of this video is, 1, don't overreach. Overreach is a bad thing. 2, Paai Jeung. Paai Jeung without Jeung structures is awesome because even when he checked and he pulls my elbow in, doesn't mean he still has to hit the body or whatever, but he can do other techniques that's going to help him sell me out, right? This may be a nice point to go into lawn style, right? And then walk straight in. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Whatever you want to do. This represents a brick wall. This represents a car. Like I said, you don't have to strike anybody. Remember, Wing Chun at one time was inherently Buddhist. Buddhists don't like to kill people or hurt people. They'll teach you a lesson and tell you to go home.